okay, so let's say we're driving, right? We're driving, and all of a sudden, oh shoot, somebody's there! Hide! Hide! Behind!
All right, we may have seen the movie already. Both thoroughly enjoyed it. The Transformers getting a totally tubular reimagination, a little Mike Oldfield for you there, in the form of Bumblebee.
Here to tell us about his take on the robots in disguise is director Travis Knight. Travis, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So I love this, and it really feels like a reboot for this franchise that people feel they know a lot about. So what will people still recognize in Bumblebee, and what are we kind of moving towards?
Well, what I wanted to do was to take the best of the live-action films, which is, spectacle, cutting-edge visual effects, great action scenes, and to blend that with something that I've always done in my work, which is to bring a really strong beating heart at the core of it. So it's got humor and it's got a lot of emotion. And I think blending that with the action makes for a pretty exciting ride.
Yeah, it's a better relationship, really, in many ways. I mean, there is the action, but it's about the relationship between the two of them. And I loved watching Bumblebee and all the emotion he was able to convey. It actually kind of freaked me out a couple of times. I won't lie. I was like, you're a car, or you're a transformer. How are you doing that with his face? It was incredible.
I've been a professional animator for over 20 years, and that's just what we do. We imbue life into things that don't have any of its own. So, yeah, obviously Bumblebee is a CG creation. He's generated in a computer with ones and zeros. And so it was a bit of a trick to try to get a really believable performance from Haley Steinfeld and then a believable performance from the robot, because they were never in the scene at the same time. Haley is so incredibly talented. She gives us a beautiful performance. But then we had to match that with a great performance from the robot. And that's just, that's what animators do. And I'm really proud of it. I mean, he completely comes to life on the big screen.
It's very casual. That's just what animators do.
Yeah.
No, it was wonderfully done.
Yeah, it's incredible what you did with Bumblebee and the eyes. And, of course, Haley Steinfeld is an Oscar-nominated actor herself, nominated for True Grit. And your job in those scenes when she's acting with a tennis ball or a green screen, how did you help her? Like, what were some of the key words that you said to her to have those reactions and to have those moments be believable?
Well, when I look at this scene, when I'm setting up a shot, I see Bumblebee in my brain. As an animator, I'm a visual artist, so I can always see where he is and what he's doing, but nobody else can.
Nobody's in your head, right? And do they want to be there?
No, they don't want to be there. But so what I did is I just essentially approached it like I would any other animated sequence, which is like I would storyboard everything out so people could track, okay, where he was, what he was doing, how he was feeling, and I could show it to the crew and to the actors so they knew exactly what was going on. And then you talk through. You talk through the performance with your actors, and then ideally they can generate something that feels real and true. And in Haley's case, I mean, she did it every single time. She knocked it out of the park. We
have to talk about the time period. It's set in 1987.
Yeah.
What is the romance of 1987 for you personally, and what did it mean for the soundtrack, which I cannot wait to listen to on repeat?
It was awesome. And the music played so much of a role in it, too, for Bumblebee.
It plays a huge part in the film, and it played a huge part in my life. It still does. I was a child of the 80s. I grew up during the 80s, and so it was a real thrill for me to walk down memory lane and try to, rekindle all these great memories from when I was a kid. And a part of that is music. I mean, there are very few things like music to evoke a feeling or kindle a memory, and it played such a huge part in this movie. It was great to go back and listen to my childhood favorites and try to weave them into the film wherever it made sense.
So this is your soundtrack to life, then?
Pretty much, yeah.
And with the songs with Bumblebee, without giving away too much, when they were required for him, how were you picking those out? Did you...
Just stuff
whenever
that I thought was awesome.
Felt right.
Just to make
this is my movie, and this is what we're putting in here.
Just to make it the most awesome.
Yeah.
What did you learn? For people who don't know, Travis has done incredible films in stop-motion animation and owns a studio in Portland called Laika that has, I think, broke barriers, really. I'm a huge fan of everything that you've done in stop-motion, from Kubo to Coraline and Paranorman. What did you have to learn to transfer your skill set from the animated world to live action, all those CGI heavy base?
Yeah, this is the first time I've worked in live action, and it was pretty daunting. I was diving to the deep end with, franchise filmmaking. Never done anything like this before. In fact, when they initially called me to say they were interested in talking to me about directing the movie, I thought they'd clearly made a mistake. But, I love these characters since I was a kid, so it felt like a natural thing for me. A lot of the processes, they're analogous from animation to live action. I mean, I think probably the biggest difference is the speed. It took me 5 years to make my last film, Kubo and the Two Strings, and this one, our principal photography was done in a matter of months. So you just churn through it a lot quicker, and there's a lot of pressure, a lot of energy. But it's also, I think that creates fertile ground for creativity. It's also a really exciting thing to be a part of.
When they came knocking, did you ever hit a point where you're like, what am I doing? Like what a trend. I mean, it is a big. Is it what?
What am I doing?
It's kind of like us here every day.
But I mean, that's a big, a big change for you though from from the directing you were doing though before.
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting because I'd never done anything like it before, and it was completely terrifying because I'd never done anything like it before. So, but having now got through the end of it and to get the great response that we're getting from the audiences and critics. I mean, you pour your heart into these things, and when people respond in a positive way, it really does mean a great deal.
Well, we both certainly did respond in a powerful way. Haley's great. The whole film's great. Congratulations. Bumblebee is in theaters Friday. We'll have more BT coming up after the break.
Thanks very much for coming
in. Thanks, Travis.
Appreciate it. Thanks. It was fun.
Yeah, I am.